except income of non-residents. So, with regard to non-residents, the government had exempted interest income in a lot of aspects. So, the government is very particular about non-residents, and there are people who are citizens of our country but who are working outside the country, and they are sending their foreign remittances to the country. So, this is helping the country in many ways. For example, when they bring in foreign currency, and it is useful for the government to maintain its foreign currency reserve. So the government gives lot of benefits for the non-residents. So one of the benefit is in the form of interest. So the first is section 10 subsection 4. What is section 10 subsection 4 talks about interest on notified securities and bonds issued to non-residents. The word used here is non-resident alone. So the interest on notified securities and bonds, the securities and bonds which are notified, and the interest on the notified securities and bonds which are being issued to the non-residents, that is dealt in section 10 subsection 4. So income falling within any of the following class shall not be included in the income of non-residents. Why? It will be exempt. So what is that? There is a 10 subsection 4 subclass 1, and there is subclass 2. So what happens? Let us see the first one, 10 subsection 4 subclass 1 provides that in the case of a non-resident, any income by way of interest on specified securities and bonds. So first is, it is an interest. So interest on what? Interest on specified bonds and securities. So the bonds and securities are specified bonds and specified securities, and it should be notified by the government, and notified by the central government will be exempt. So what is the condition? The interest on specified bonds and securities which are notified by the central government. So the interest on those specified bonds and securities should be notified by the central government to be exempt. So 10 subsection 4 subclass 1 speaks about the interest on specified securities on bonds which are notified by the central government, and that too in the case of non-resident should be exempt. So interest on specified bonds, specified securities, and it should have been notified by the central government, and that too in the case of non-resident, then it is exempt. Even income by way of premium on redemption of the bond is exempt. Now the bond, specified bond is getting redeemed. So on redemption, premium on the redemption of the bond is also being exempt. Not only the redemption of the bonds is exempt, even the income by way of premium on the bonds is also exempt. So premium on redemption of bonds, the interest on the securities and bonds with regard to a non-resident is exempt. However, the central government shall not notify any such bonds and securities after 1/6/2002. So the cutoff date is 1/6/2002. After that, it has not yet notified any such bonds or securities. Hence, this exemption will no more be available in respect of any further issue of bonds or securities on or after 1/6/2002. So the cutoff date is 1/6/2002. Now, second is 10 subsection 4 subclass 2. In the case of an individual, any income by way of interest on money standing to his credit in NRE account in any bank in India. So 10 subsection 4 and subclass 2, what does it talk about? It talks about another class, that is with regard to NRE account. What is that? In the case of an individual. So, in the case of an individual, any income by way of interest on money standing to his credit in NRE account in any bank in India. So, every bank, most of the banks in India have schemes to promote the welfare of the non-residents. So, what is it? One of the scheme is called NRE account. So, what is that? Non-resident external account. So, this is a specified account. It is opened in any bank in India. Even nationalized bank as well as private banks have this NRE account scheme. What is that? The individual can deposit money in the NRE account, which is being maintained by any bank in India. And because of the NRE account, the money deposited will bear interest. So that income by way of interest on money standing to the credit in NRE account is exempt. So NRE account is being maintained by the banks, and the non-residents are supposed to deposit the money in the NRE account, and interest accruing in this NRE account is being exempt. So interest which is accruing on the money which is being deposited in NRE account is being exempt. exempt. So in the case of an individual, any income by way of interest on money standing to the credit on NRE account in any bank in India. So it can be a nationalized bank, it can be a private bank. In accordance with FEMA Act, so this is it should be in line with the FEMA Act. The provisions of FEMA Act should be abided. So if we see the Income Tax Act with regard to foreign exchange and things like that, FEMA Act also slightly comes into place. Why is that? FEMA Act extensively deals with the foreign exchange. Therefore, there is a slight link between the Income Tax Act and FEMA Act whenever dealings with regard to foreign exchange is being connected. And the rules made therein would be exempt provided such individual is the person resident outside India. So in the first case, we use the word individual. Who is an individual? That person should be a resident outside India as defined in FEMA Act. The next is the individual as defined in 10 subsection 4(2) is should be a person resident outside India as defined in FEMA Act. So the person resident outside India not as per Income Tax Act, as per FEMA Act. That is the next thing. So the individual who is a non-resident as per the definition of FEMA Act is an individual as per this definition, or is a person who has been permitted by RBI to maintain the account. So two conditions: either he must be a person resident outside India as per FEMA Act, or he must have been given permission by the RBI to maintain the account. So 10 subsection 4 subclass 2 is in the case of an individual, any income by way of interest on money standing in NRE account in any bank in India and is exempt provided that the person individual is a person resident outside India as defined in FEMA, or is a person who has been permitted by RBI to maintain the account. So 10 subsection 4 deals with the NRE account. The money standing in the NRE account is being the interest will be accruing on the same. So the interest is being exempt, and that this particular benefit is being extended to two kinds of person. One, a person who is a non-resident as per FEMA Act, and the other, a person who has been allowed, who has been given permission by the RBI. So the next condition is with regard to the two conditions. The first is he must be a non-resident as per FEMA Act, and the next is he must have been given permission by the RBI. So only those persons are called as individuals as per this provision. So in the case of an individual, the income by way of interest on money standing to the credit on NRE account in any bank in India in accordance with FEMA Act and rules made thereunder, provided that the individual is a person resident outside India as defined in FEMA Act, or is person who has been permitted by RBI to maintain the account. Next. In this context, it may be noted that the joint holders of NRE account do not constitute an AOP by merely having the accounts in joint names. So, with regard to banking sector, there is a concept of joint accounts. So, joint account can be maintained in the name of two different persons. So, what is NRE? What is this talking about? Joint account holders of the NRE account do not constitute an AOP. What is AOP? Association of person, by merely having these accounts in joint names. Just because the people are the account is in the name of joint holders, the joint holders by virtue of themselves do not constitute an association of person. Just because they are joint holders of the NRE account do not make them a AOP. So, benefit of exemption will be available to the such joint holders subject to fulfillment of other conditions contained in that section by each of the individual joint holders. So, for example, let us take Mr. A and Mrs. A are joint holders. Mr. A and Mrs. A are joint holders of the NRE account. So, they are not association of person. This Mr. A and Mrs. A are joint account holders, and therefore they are, just because they are joint holders do not make them association of person. So, the benefit will be extended to both Mr. A as well as Mrs. A. The benefit of exemption will be given to both Mr. A and Mrs. A. And what to be done? There are the conditions which have been specified should be fulfilled and satisfied by each of the joint holder. So, in each Mr. A as well as Mrs. A, they have to fulfill the condition as spelled out in this section, and the benefit will be extended to both Mr. A as well as Mrs. A. Now, next example. Mrs. Nina Kansal is a resident of Singapore since year 2000. So, the word here, let us be very careful. We have to find out whether the word used here is resident or citizen. So, the resident and citizens are not one and the same, and therefore caution must be exercised whenever the word resident or citizen is being used. Here, Mrs. Nina is not a citizen of Singapore. she is a resident of Singapore only. So since year 2000. So she is being the resident of Singapore since 2000, and she is holding an NRE account with Bank of Baroda. It is a notified bank, and there they can maintain NRE account. And what is the interest credited? 10,000. So we know that interest credited on NRE account by and the account should be held by a non-resident. If that be the case, the interest is exempt. Now, the interest income shall be exempt from income tax while she files her return. This is the point. Now, next is 10 subsection 4b. So, we saw 10 subsection 4, and next is 10 subsection 4b. So, the next section is 10 subsection 4b. Here also this is with regard to interest on specified savings certificate. So in 10 subsection 4 we saw interest on notified securities and bond, and then next here we come, this is also with regard to interest, but it is on specified savings certificate to the non-resident. So there are some specified savings certificates with regard to the non-residents, and the interest on the same. What is the treatment? Now, an individual being a citizen of India or person of Indian origin. Note the usage of the word. It uses citizen of India. The person should be a citizen of India or person of Indian origin. Person of Indian origin who is a non-resident. So the citizen of India who is currently a non-resident or a person of Indian origin who is currently a non-resident shall be entitled for the exemption on same certificate issued before 1/6/2002. We saw with regard to notified securities also the date is 1/6/2002. Similarly, here also the word used here is 1/6/2002. So it is with regard to savings certificates issued before 1/6/2002. After 1/6/2002, it has not been notified by the government, and therefore the cutoff date is 1/6/2002, and the individual should be either a citizen or a person of Indian origin and who is currently a non-resident, and that particular person is supposed to get the benefit. What is the benefit? Exemption. Exemption with regard to what? Interest on specified savings certificate issued before 1/6/2002 by central government and notified in the official gazette. Now, how about to claim the exemption? Individuals should have subscribed to such certificates in convertible foreign exchange remitted from a country outside India. So the next condition is that the foreign exchange should have been remitted from outside India. It should not be in INR. So the individual should have subscribed to such certificates in convertible foreign exchange only, not in INR. In accordance with the provisions of CMA and rules made therein, it is important to know that exemption will be available only to the original subscribers to the savings certificate. So here this is, if it is savings certificate is being transferred or being endorsed to other people, it is not available. The exemption will not be available. Exemption is only to the first original subscriber. So the second, so the individual who is a citizen of India or person of Indian origin who is currently a non-resident, one can only enjoy this exemption. And here also the cutoff date is 1/6/2002. After that, it has not been. It should have been issued before that, and it should have been notified by the central government in the official gazette. So what to do that? In order to claim the exemption, individual should have subscribed to the certificates, and the person must have subscribed to the certificate in foreign exchange only, not in INR. Convertible foreign exchange, and it should have been remitted from country outside India in accordance with CMA Act. And this is exemption is available for only for original subscribers, not for the later ones who has got it transferred. So what is this? The first, it is available to citizen or person of Indian origin currently non-resident. So for specified savings certificates before 1/6/2002, and which has been issued before 1/6/2002, and it should have been notified by the central government in the official gazette. So can it be in Indian INR? No, only in foreign exchange, convertible foreign exchange remitted from outside the country. This benefit is available only to the original subscribers. Next, remuneration received by individuals who are not citizens of India. So the person remuneration is received by individuals and they are not citizens of this country. So here you note the usage of the word citizen. So it should have been received by the individual, and the individual is not citizen of India. So which section is it? 10 subsection 6. So the next is 10 subsection 6. It talks about the remuneration received by individuals and they are not citizens of this country. So they are not citizens and they are individuals, and their remuneration is received. The remuneration received by a person for services as an official by whatever name called of an embassy, high commission, legation, commission, consulate or trade representation on foreign state or member of staff of any of this official is exempt. So normally why do citizens of other country come and work here? Most of the cases it might be for an on foreign embassy or consulate or high commission or trade representation of foreign state or member of staff of any of the official. So these are all the broad categories like embassy, consulate, etc. So you can call by whatever name, and they are not citizens of India. So the remuneration received by the person for services as an official by whatever name called or a member of staff of any of this official is exempt. What is the condition? Remuneration received by our corresponding government officers resident in such foreign country should be exempt. So let us take the case that, for example, this is with regard to foreign citizen of US. So they are a foreign citizen of US. They are working in the US embassy in India. So the remuneration is received by the person. So they are not citizens of this country. They are citizens of US, and it is being exempt. So what should be the corresponding? What is the condition given by the government? Our citizens who are working in US in the embassy, our citizen in the embassy which is located in US should be given the tax exemption. So our officials who are citizens of our country who are working in US in the embassy should get the tax benefit. If that be the case, then the foreign citizens who are working in embassies in our country will be given the exemption. So remuneration received by our corresponding government officers resident in such foreign countries should be exempt. Now, the above mentioned officers should be the subjects of their respective countries and should not be engaged in any other business or profession or employment in India. So it is available for the officers should be the subjects of their respective countries. So if it is US, then he must be the subject of US. The particular officer must be a citizen of US and should not be engaged in any other business or profession or employment in India. So the only case is that he should be employed in the embassy alone. The next is condition is that employed she should be employed in particular consulate alone. He should not be engaged in any other business or profession in our country, and he must be the subject of that particular country, foreign country. So the above mentioned officers should be the subject of their respective countries and should not be engaged in any other business or profession or employment in India. So let us take the example. First, Mr. A is a citizen of India. So let us come back to the first broad category. It is who are not citizens of India. Notice the word who are not citizens of India. But here the A is a citizen of India. Let us continue it. So the first case is with regard to Mr. A. So whether Mr. A is citizen of which country? Citizen of India. So we saw that this provision is applicable for citizens of foreign countries only, not citizens of India. But here he is a citizen of India, but he is a resident of USA. So this is immaterial whether he is a resident of USA or not, because the word used here is citizen but not resident. Was appointed as a senior official of US Embassy in India. He earned remuneration of 10 lakh. Being an individual who is a citizen of India, though fulfilling other condition, remuneration shall not be exempt. Not exempt. Why is that so? He is not the citizen of US. He is just a resident of US, but he is still the citizen of India only. Therefore, it is not exempt. Now, Mr. Vikram Kohli. Mr. Vikram Kohli, next is the second case. Mr. Vikram Kohli, an Indian-born person of Indian origin. So, he is a person of Indian origin, but currently the resident and citizen of USA. So, first condition satisfied. He is a citizen of foreign country? Yes. Which country in particular? Citizen of USA. So, he is an Indian-born person, but currently the citizen as well as the resident of USA, was appointed as a senior official of the US Embassy in India. So, he is the official of the US Embassy in India. He earned a remuneration of 10 lakhs. So, he is not a citizen of India. Therefore, the exemption is available. Now, Frank de Sousa, an Irish citizen, but currently the resident of USA, was appointed as a senior official of US Embassy in India, who earned a remuneration of 10 lakhs. Being an individual who is not a citizen of India, remuneration shall be exempt. So, next case also, Mr. Frank is also not a citizen of India, therefore remuneration shall be exempt.